Hi, Tim Unkert here, and in this video we're going to build a web app that converts units from English units to metric units. So you'll see this is the app that we're going to create, and we can pick the units that are going to be the metric units we're going to convert them to. So we have kilometers, kilograms, or liters. Let's pick kilometers. I'm going to pick the English units value. So in this case, I pick 5 or some number for miles. And if I submit, then I can get the converted value is 8.045 kilometers. Would you like to convert another value? Well, yes, I would. So we're going to convert another value. This time, let's convert to kilograms, and let's do 220 pounds, which should be 100 kilograms. We submit, and we see we got 100 kilograms. Would you like to convert another value? Sure. This time I'm going to convert gallons to liters. So I want to see what 1 gallon is in terms of liters. Well, that's 3.78541 liters. Would you like to convert another value? I'm going to say at this point no. It says thank you for using the program. You may close your browser now. So I'm going to do that. Okay, and this is available off unkertdevelopment.com on the projects page. You can check it out here. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I've got my terminal open and I've got a folder that I'm going to be running this in, and it's called Dimensional Analysis-YT. Now, dimensional analysis is just a fancy name they give for unit conversion. So if you teach middle school math, some school systems will be like, oh, you're teaching dimensional analysis. And it's like, whoa, that sounds all complex. It's just basically converting units. Anyways, so that's that. Let's open up the text editor that you want to use. I'm going to use Atom in this case. And I've got this folder, and I'm going to create 5 files. First one being index.php. Second one I'm going to create is going to be form.php. Third one I'm going to create is form-handler.php. I'm then going to create a style.css because we're going to use Bootstrap, but we're going to do some custom styling here. And then the last one is going to be script.js. That's how we get, that yes/no button functionality. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my index.html, and I'm going to just get a basic HTML framework. I want a meta tag for a viewport, so I'm going to type meta name is viewport, content equals width equals device dash width, initial scale equals 1.0. Okay. And then let's call this dimensional analysis. Sounds all fancy. Okay, I'm going to make a comment here that I'm going to bring in the Bootstrap 5 Css Cdn. Okay, and let's go do that. So I'm going to search Bootstrap 5, and we're going to go here and go to the quick start and copy this link in. I'm going to paste it in, and let's toggle the soft wrap here. Okay. Under that, I'm going to bring in my custom CSS because I want a dark mode here for my thing. So I'm going to add a few things to do that. Don't need that. I'm just going to type link, and we want to have to link in the style.css folder. Okay. Go down here. I am going to bring in the Bootstrap 5 JavaScript bundle, and that's a CDN. Okay. Let's go down here, copy the JS bundle here, and paste it in. Okay. We don't need our script.js file for this particular file. I'm going to create a div, and I'm going to give that div a class of container, margin top 5, padding top 5. That's going to bring it down the page a little bit. Below that, I'm going to have a div with a class of row. Below that, I'm going to have a div with a class of column, breakpoint medium 4. So that's 4 columns for the medium screens and up. And I want this offset with the breakpoint medium 4 columns. So Bootstrap goes on a 12 column system. So what's that? That's going to kind of push it to the center of the screen. Okay, there's many different ways you can do it. That's just the way I'm doing it for this one. Okay, so now we're going to have our form. I'm not going to include a class on this form, so I'm going to delete that out. I am going to have the action set to form.php. I'm going to keep the method as post. Now I'm going to go here to the documentation and search input. And we'll take a look at the input groups. We'll go down here. So you'll see we have buttons with drop downs. We'll go segmented buttons, and then we have this one here. And I want to kind of model it off of this one. So we're going to have a div with the class of input group margin bottom 3. And then let's take a look. Inside of that, we want to label with the class of input group text. And that label is going to be for, let's say, metric-units. Okay, I'm going to bring this up here so you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit better. All right, below that, we want to have a select with a class of form select. And let's give this the name metric units and the ID of metric units. Okay. And then we're going to have an option. Instead of a value, we're going to put selected. And then I'm going to model it off of their example, which just says choose. ... Okay. Below that, we're going to have 3 more options. So the first one we're going to have with a value of kilometers. The second one, we're going to have the value of kilograms. And then the third one, we're going to have a value of liters. Okay. All right. And so that's our select form. Let's go to localhost 8000 where I'm running the development server on and see how we're doing. So we got this choose and we're choosing this, and I'm going to put a label here. Let's put in the label, let's just put metric units. Okay, and refresh. And we've got metric units and we can choose these 3 types. So we're off to a good start. Okay. Then we also want another div here in our form. That's going to have a class of margin bottom 3. We're going to have a label. We'll say label for English units value. And we're going to put in English something like enter the English units value. Okay, below the label we have an input. Type is going to be number. We're going to do integers for this. Name is going to be English units value. Up here should be values, or value rather. Instead of the value, we're going to put an ID and also have that as English units value. Okay. All right, so we got that. Let's go up here, refresh. And we see enter English units value, but this input isn't quite styled the same as the other one. So we have to add a Bootstrap class, which is equal to form control. And let's refresh. And now we've got the same kind of styling. And we can increment up or down. Oops, I'm setting up or up like that, or go down for our value. Okay. We do need to have a submit button, so I'm going to create another div inside my form. It's going to have a class of margin bottom 3. We're going to have an input. The type is going to be submit. The name is going to be submit. The ID is going to equal submit, and then the class is going to equal btn and then btn-light, and I'll explain that in a sec. Okay, so we're going to refresh. We've got our submit button, but we don't see the outside of the button. But now we're going to go to our styling because I want to do this in dark mode. So I'm going to go to style.css. And so I'm going to have a body with a background color of 333, which is like a dark gray. And then the color that I'm going to have, whoops, didn't want to do that. The color that I'm going to have is going to be white smoke. Okay. So that's a little bit different white color. And so let's now refresh. And we've got our dark mode. Cool. All right. So that's all we really want to do with that for now. I don't want to worry too much about it. We can style, we can style the form a little bit, like maybe the input, the label, maybe not the label, maybe the select, and maybe the options. We style a little bit. We give a background color of, say, something like E6, 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 and then a color maybe of 333, something like that. Let's refresh, and we might need to include, to override the Bootstrap styles, we may need to include important. So let's now style it. And I don't know if you notice, I think there's a slight change, but slight change in that. Maybe make this a little darker, something like 808080. Let's refresh. And yeah, it's getting a little darker. I don't know, that might be a little too dark. Maybe go back to the E6. Okay. All right, so that's a little bit darker color. I'm not sure if you can see that on the video as well. That's not full white. Okay, so it does give it a little bit different value. Okay. One last thing on our index.php, we'll give some directions right above the forms, some paragraph. We'll say something like, enter the metric units and English units value below. Okay, if I'll move this down, you can see I typed below. Okay, great. So I'm going to save that, refresh that, and okay, we got some instructions. Okay, cool. So now what I want to do is create my form.php. Okay, and so I actually used a different way to expend Emmet in Atom with Control E versus Tab, and I used the exclamation point, and that actually brought in my viewport, and actually brought in this one as well, which is sometimes important on different browsers. So anyway, so I'm going to have a form that does my dimensional analysis unit conversion. And I want my Bootstrap 5 CSS Cdn to be brought in. So I do want the Bootstrap styling for this. So I'm going to go up here, over here, copy, paste. I want to toggle some soft wrap here. Let's do that. Okay, and then below that, I want to do my custom CSS. Okay, I'm going to bring in my style sheet, so I'm just going to type link and expand that out, and I want it to be to style.css. Okay, great, that's all good. Now I want, in this one, I want my Bootstrap JS, just as a habit, bringing that in. Make that comment, this is from the CDN. Okay, that's Content Delivery Network, just in case you're wondering. I'm actually going to go, let's go copy this from the other page so I don't have to change. So scroll down here, copy that, paste that in there. Whoops, I pasted it in the wrong spot. So I'm going to undo that, actually. I'm going to go here, copy that, go down to here, paste that in. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to bring in my custom JavaScript. So I'm just going to type script source, script source, expand that out. We want script.js. So we're bringing that in. Now within this, we do want a div with a class of container. Below that, we want a div with a class of row. And actually, I still want the margin top 5 and the padding top 5 to bring it down, be consistent. I want a div also with a column, with a breakpoint medium, offset, breakpoint medium of 4, so that kind of centers it. And then we're going to bring in our PHP. So what I'm going to bring in by saying include once is the file form-handler.php. And so far, I'm good with the form.php. We're going to fix it up a little bit with the yes, no buttons in a bit. But let's go to our form handler and let's bring in the PHP. And we're going to start off by saying something like if is set, and then use a super global post and submit. So if they click the submit button, then I'm going to set a variable called metric underscore units equal to the post metric dash units. Okay. And I'm also going to create another one, English underscore units underscore value equals then the post English dash units dash value. Okay. Now I'm going to create a class and call that class conversion. Okay. And within that class, I'm going to have a public metric units and a public English units value. We're going to have a method. And it's going to be function. Let's call it convert now. Function called convert now. Sure. And we're going to take in the metric units and the English units value. And we're going to say this arrow metric units equals the metric units variable. And this arrow English units value equals the English units value variable. Okay, so now we have to have some conditionals. So we're going to say if, then let's do this metric units. If that equals kilometers, well, then what we're going to do is we are going to say converted value is going to equal this arrow English units value times 1.609. Okay, else if this metric underscore units equals kilograms, well, then we're going to say that the converted value is equal to this English units value divided by 2.2. Okay, and then finally else, which is the leader situation, we're going to say converted value is equal to this English units value, and then times the conversion factor, which is 3.78541, I believe. Let's see. No, we don't have it working yet. Sorry, we have to go to my projects. Let's check this out. And do leaders 1 and submit. 3.78541. Cool. All right. So now down below here, we're going to return the converted value. And that's going to be the end of our function so far. So we're going to go outside of that, and we're going to say our solution, or actually, let's say our let's say 2 metric equals a new conversion, and we'll say 2 metric arrow, and then the convert now. Pass in the metric units and the English units value, and we're going to go back here and say our solution is equal to this. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're going to echo the converted value is equal to space there, and that line echo our solution, and then echo another space, concatenate on our metric units, and concatenate on a period to end it there. All right, let's see if this is working okay. So we got to go back to our thing here, a local host. Let's pick kilometers. Let's do 5 miles. The converted value is equal to 18.92. That's a little high. So let's refresh this. Let's go back. Okay, let's do this again. So we're going to do kilometers, 5, 18.92. Okay, there's something going on here. So that's incorrect. English units value. I spelled kilometers wrong. So it's defaulting to this one. It's multiplying by 3.78541. All right, let's go back here and check that again. All right, so we're going to choose kilometers. Let's pick 5, and it should be like 8 kilometers or something. And so the value is equal to blank kilometers, okay? So now we're not getting anything, and let's check here what our issue is. Kilometers, kilometers, okay. Kilometers, check here. We have the right value. So this is English units value. It's a number. Okay, let's go back and try this one more time. Kilometers, 5. That's not giving me a value. Okay, let's take a look. Let me just paste it in. Maybe I'm doing something weird. I don't know. Paste it in. Okay, let's try the kilograms one as well. Let's see if that's working or that's a little bit off. Okay, let's go to kilograms. Let's do 220. Submit. 100 kilograms. Okay, so it's got to be a spelling thing. Let's refresh here. Refresh this index. Choose kilometers. And let 5 is equal to kilometers. Okay, let's take a look. What's going on with this one? So we have spelled converted value wrong. Okay. Now, sometimes it's a small error like that, but and you spend hours looking for it. But luckily, I found that one quickly, so I'm not going to delete any part of that video. But just let you know, not going to pickresize.com. Just to let you know that sometimes that does happen. All right, so now we're going to put in kilometers. We should get 8. Yes. All right. So, okay. So we debugged. A lot of times it's a spelling or you forgot a semicolon or something like that. Okay. But one thing we don't have on this is we don't have the do you want to calculate another value? So we've got to have that part. So under this PHP, we're going to go create a paragraph. Do you want to calculate another value? Okay. So we're going to have two buttons. All right. So we're going to have a button. Type is going to be button. Name is going to be yes. We're going to say onClick equals a function is yes. Let's do that. And we can say yes. We want to give this a class here. So I'm going to give a class of btn and btn light. Okay. I'm going to copy and paste that below. And instead of yes, we're going to have no. Okay. And this is just going to, name's just going to be no. Okay. And so we've got that. And then I'm going to have an empty paragraph here. And let's give it an ID equal to thank you. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go over to our script.js. Okay. And we're going to have a function is yes. And within that function, we're going to type window.location.href and then equals the index.php. So that's just going to redirect it to the index page and refresh it again. Okay, so that's our is yes function. And then our function is no. We're going to take a look. We're going to say constant thank you equals document.get element by ID. And then we're going to give it the ID of thank you. And we're going to say thank you dot inner HTML equals thank you for using our program. You may, let me move this out of the way, close your browser now, something like that. And then I'm also just going to target the style. I'm going to say style dot margin top equals just 30 pixels, just to bring it down a little bit, and then end that. Okay. I might not need that. Well, let's just refresh it. And okay, so let's refresh this page. So we'll say no. Thank you for using your program. You may use your browser now. Let me close this. Okay, and let's refresh. Say no. Okay, that brings it down. That's nice. So we didn't need that semicolon there. If I want to say yes, that's going to refresh. And so now I can do kilograms. So let's say weigh 220 pounds. That should be 100 kilograms. The converted value is equal to 100 kilograms. Do you want to calculate another value? Yes. Let's do liters. Okay, liters. Let's see what 2 gallons is as a liter. That should be, I think, a little over 7. Yeah, 7.5. Okay, do you want to calculate another value? No. Thank you for using our program. You may close your browser now. So that is our little unit conversion web app. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, please like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, as it really helps the channel grow. The channel would really appreciate it. Also, the channel really appreciates those who have already liked and subscribed and hit the bell for notifications. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.